Hi, my name is Tijl Koenderink, and I just wanted to send out this message, especially to those of you who are gifted and talented. Well, I'm not too much hung up on the term or, IQ over under 30, but in general, those of you who are pretty bright and think about life a lot. And, the term gifted and talented already says something, gifted. You have received a gift. And how can having a gift ever be a problem? It's like having too much money in your bank account, how could that ever be a problem? But due to the nature of my work, I train and I counsel people who are gifted or people who are counseling the gifted. I see that a lot of people struggle with it. They get stuck in, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to deal with it, and, not even knowing how to be happy or how to be fulfilled or how to be productive or how to partake in normal life. And I also want to address those of you who are guiding them, the parents, the counselors, the teachers, to give you some more insights into how these people work, how these kids work, but maybe into yourself as well, because probably if you're in this line of work, you must have some kind of connection with these people. And I can totally relate to being stuck. I mean, like 11 years ago, I was sitting in a small 100 square foot apartment, with just enough space for my bed and a little bit of room around it with a little computer. I was sitting on a crate, literally, and I just really didn't know what to do. I was so stuck. I mean, I'd finished school, I'd barely made it with the worst possible grades you could imagine, and so therefore I decided school isn't going to be the thing for me. I tried working, but it didn't work out the way we wanted and agreed upon, and that kind of went sour. So there I was, sitting in my little room, looking out the window, sitting behind my computer, clicking around, and not doing anything. And I was so frustrated. I was so bummed out about being in this place, because I figured it's even worse for me to be in this place because I'm supposedly gifted, talented, an IQ of over 150, you must be able to do amazing things. And here I sit, day after day, talking myself into a depression. And I really didn't know what to do. I was spinning around in a circle, my mind was going in overdrive, thinking stuff, but really not making any progress whatsoever. But one thing that I've always had, and the thing that pulled me through, was hope. Hope that there would be a future in which it would be different. Because I've had my moments, looking out the window, looking at the fact that I was at the second floor, and, kind of thinking, what if I jump? What would happen? All the problems would be gone. I wouldn't have any issues anymore. Simple enough. But this was never an option for me. I mean, I might have entertained it cognitively for a short while, but I knew I would never ever go there. Why? Because I had hope. I knew this was a temporary situation. I knew this was not permanent. I love how Richard Bandler puts it, that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And again, through my work, I've had the doubtful honor of guiding some kids who were suicidal, and I'm very happy to say that none of them actually went through with it. But I can see how you get to that point, but it's important not to stay there and to move forward. And how did I get that hope? It has a lot to do with the people I've had around me. My gifted counselor I had in high school, Frank, he really pulled me through my high school period. My depressed period, Lex, a great friend of mine, a guy I met through work, my conversations with him proved invaluable. Kate, who I got to learn in the US, who these people always believed in me. They always took me seriously. They talked with me. They helped form my ideas about what life's about and how to make it happen. Last but not least, definitely my parents, who throughout my entire life gave me this message about the value of life and how to live it in a good way. And these days I've been blessed with awesome mentors. I've had the privilege of being mentored by Joe, by Kees, by Björn, by all these amazing people who've helped me forward. And what I hope to do with this movie is rub some of that off on you. Because I don't know where you are, where you're sitting behind your computer or your phone or whatever way you're looking at this movie. But maybe you're in the same place I was 11 years ago. Sitting there, looking at the window, not knowing what to do, not knowing which way to turn and how to make it better. And I hope that hearing this story from me gives you a little bit of perspective of this. It's not going to stay this way. It's not always going to be this way. And I don't want to just leave with you with that, but I want to give you a practical insight and a tool as well. I learned a lot about NLP, which has helped me tremendously. And one of the things that it really did with me is a story that summarized a lot of what this is about for me. It's about a little kid who goes up to his mother and says, you know, Mom, you've been doing this NLP course, you know, what is it about? So his mom is like, well, you know what? You go to your grandfather and you ask him, you know, how he's been lately. You know, how his arthritis and how his joints are. So the little boy goes up to his grandfather and he's like, Grandfather, you know, how are you? How is your arthritis? Stuff like that. And the grandfather's like, oh no, it's been painful and it's been hard to get out of bed and you know, it's been tough, you know. So the little kid goes back to his mother and tells all the stuff that's been going on, and his mom's like, well, now try something else. Go up to your grandfather and ask him about the day he got to hold you for the first time. So the kid goes up to his grandfather and says, you know, Grandfather, what it was like to hold me for the first time? And grandfather's like, oh, wow. It was one of the most beautiful moments in my life when I held my first grandson. It was such a beautiful moment. You see the guy lit up and he's sitting up and he's like, oh, it's beautiful, and you were looking at me, and later on you held my finger. It was such a beautiful moment. So, you know, the moral of this story is, whatever you focus on is what you're going to feel. We human beings are a question answering machine. That's one of the things I learned from Tony Robbins, and one of the many things I learned from him. But that we're constantly asking questions and finding answers. And later on I learned it at a kind of deeper level when I learned about the 3 parts of the brain. I mean, this is overly simplified, but the brain consists of 3 parts: the reptilian part, the mammal part, and the human part. And the human and the mammal part can think about all kinds of stuff cognitively. You know, this is a possibility and this is a scenario and stuff like that. But at the same time, your reptilian brain is kind of like watching TV, because it doesn't have any direct thoughts of its own, but it's just observing all the thoughts that are going by through the mammal and the human brain. But when the human brain starts analyzing depressing stuff, it is looking at movies of depressing stuff. So when the human brain asks the question, you know, what is messed up about my life? And then it starts thinking about all kinds of answers, then the reptilian brain is looking at it and it's getting more and more down. I mean, imagine watching a really, really depressing movie on TV. The longer you watch it, the more depressed you get. But you know what the problem is? That the human brain still is within this entire system. And as soon as you get depressed, the human brain starts asking more depressing questions. Why have I deserved this? You know, why me? And why is it so messed up? And why is the economy so messed up? And you start asking even worse questions and coming up with answers for them. And your reptilian brain is watching this and is getting even more bummed out. And you're getting lower and lower and lower until at the end you don't even know how to get up anymore. And it's even worse when you're gifted, when you're smart. Why? Because when a normal person, if we can talk about it in that way, asks a question, he can come up with 3 answers. But if you ask the question, you know, what is messed up about my life, you'll find 100 answers. It's like, you know, a TV marathon of depressing stuff that you're trying to push into the shortest time period possible. It's a miracle that you can't get out of your chair. But the thing is, you've got control over your human mind. You can decide which questions to ask. And that's the route to hope. Asking better questions. And one of the best questions I've ever learned, you know, through Vipassana, and below you'll probably find some links about stories about that stuff too. But the question that you should ask yourself is, what can I do to make things better? What can I do to make my own life better? What can I do to make other people's lives better? And when I do that, I feel better. I get better. And you know what? The TV, the human brain, starts displaying cool movies, inspirational stories, because you did something cool. And now the reptilian brain gets happy. And because you're happy, you think of better answers and better questions. And now you're in this flow state. Now you're getting enthusiastic. And I know it's easy to say it this way. It actually takes practice. But do it and you'll feel so much better. there is not a lot that can faze me these days, because I recognize this process. When I see myself spiraling downwards, I'm like, oh wow, you know, I'm doing it again. And I notice it, and I put myself in an upward track again. And if I can't do it myself, I'll find a friend. I'll find somebody to do this with. I'll have them ask me better questions. Or I know some people, when I go up to them, you know, Iwan, a great friend of mine, when I go up to him, he comes up with great questions, great conversations, and I'm always uplifted when I've been there. Find these people in your life. Engage with them. The more you do it, the happier you'll be. And from this point forward, this is, you know, a holiday message. If you know somebody in your life who might have this problem too, who's stuck, who doesn't know which way to turn, who might be, you know, overly average, intelligent or stuff like that, send this movie to them. Help them out. And below there will be some links to other free movies that I put online, because I've decided to, you know, step up a notch, because I've been doing this work for 4 or 5 years in Holland now, and now I'm going to do it internationally, because I've seen the impact of these techniques and tools. And it's not that I'm so freaking brilliant, I've been lucky to be exposed to these materials, and I want to forward the word. I want to spread the word in the biggest way possible, and I hope you'll help me. Send this to whoever you know who could use it, because it could put a smile on their face. It can make the life a lot more enjoyable. And heck, maybe you can discuss with them as well, you know, can you ask me some better questions, I can ask you some better questions, and that way we'll both be uplifted. And that's what this season should be about, to be uplifted, to feel better, but most of all, to have hope. To have hope for a better future, because it is there. There will be a better future. And please leave your comments, please leave your stories about stuff that uplifts you, and maybe some things that you've learned from this. It's so important. I wish so badly that I could reach out to that guy 11 years ago in that small apartment, sitting on his crate, looking out the window. To reiterate to him, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. And the same goes for you. It's gonna be fine, I promise. And reach out to me if you want any help. If I can do anything for you, I'll be happy to support you in whatever way I can. But it's important never to lose hope. Hope is one of the most important things that keeps us alive. So share this message of hope. Help other people get hope, and then you come to what I always conclude my movies with. You will bring out the best in yourself and in each other. Happy holidays.